Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nasir, and what's on tap for today? Well, we got some video clips, folks. It's a great debate between Douglas Murray of the United Kingdom and a leftist, socialist, Marxist by the name of Flavia Kleiner from Switzerland. And this debate was sponsored by the Forum on European Culture. So let me set this up for all of you. It was a long debate. We made it into various parts. And this is part one. And so the moderator here in part one, her name is Sophia Dirksen. And what she's doing is she is basically introducing Flavia Kleiner. So part one is going to be about her getting an intro on Flavia Kleiner. And that's what we're going to get into right now, folks. All right. So let's get to that part of the debate. Let's do it right now. Now, I just wanted to add one thing, that the topic of this debate is going to be about immigration in Europe. What is it in terms of the perspective of immigration? So let's get to it right now.
In other words, Flavia and Douglas, the organization of this forum decided to come up with this very delicate question of who gets Europe, and almost immediately decided, apparently, to outsource that problem to the UK and Switzerland. So,
what an idea.
Flavia, let's start with you, because you're here sitting with me. Coming from a non-EU country in the middle of our political union, can you describe us, what does it mean to feel European from a Swiss perspective?
So good evening, everyone, first of all. I'm really glad to be here and to speak about Europe, to feel as a European here speaking about this question. Basically, I would say for me, Europe means freedom and opportunities, and that's something that we, as a non-member of the European Union, just profit as well from it, as well as many Europeans do. And so, yeah, that would be my short answer to your question.
Mm-hmm. You are the founder of Operation Libero, a political movement aiming to formulate strategies to counter populist methods in Switzerland and throughout Europe. Your tagline is that you have successfully countered a number of populist initiatives and referenda by the Swiss People Party, the biggest party currently in Swiss still. What do you consider your biggest success looking back on those years?
Yeah, so I mean, I have to start at the very moment where we founded this movement, and it was basically a kind of Brexit moment for us, because Switzerland voted in 2014 on a Swiss popular initiative on whether we want to limit the number of people coming to Switzerland within the free movement of people agreement we have with the European Union. And it was accepted by a really close margin of 50.3%. Only 20,000 votes make the difference. So that was kind of the wake-up call for us young students who said, well, we don't want to live in a country which comes closer to kind of a free air museum than what we see Switzerland for a land of opportunity. So we basically stood up and said we want to fight back this vision of Switzerland. We want to promote our vision of an open humanitarian country, and a country which is eager to tackle actually the opportunities in this free Europe. And yeah, and for this we knew that we have to kind of break the myth which is so strong about the right-wing populists, which pretend that only they can speak for the Swiss people. And so we thought the most effective way to do it is by actually fighting back at the ballot box to win against them in the referendums. And we had to fight about, for example, the expulsion of criminal foreigners. That was one vote they came up with without actually respect.
I'm just going to go ahead and stop here and just give my 2 cents worth. So you heard Operation Libero, right? I mean, I like the way the Europeans, pronounce the words, right? Liberal makes it sound so nice and so wonderful. But these are all virtue signaling white elitists like Flavia. And like she said, we just want to portray Switzerland as not a place where it's just completely, everything is, closed. We want it to be an open society, open border, open opportunities for the whole world. That's what we want. That's what the students want. And then they talked about where they were thinking of, and I'm not exactly sure exactly how this was formulated, but there was a referendum that any people that were in jail, they need to be sent back to the countries that they came from because they did things against the law in Switzerland. And so these people were against it. Operation Libero and people like Flavia were saying, no, that's not right. These people should be let go into society, basically. I mean, that's sort of what their thinking was. And that's just so contrary to the conservative philosophy that we have and the conservative philosophy, that's out there in Europe as well.
Acting the principles of rule of law in Switzerland, or one was on the abolition of public broadcasting, for example. So it was really fundamental questions about liberal institutions we found. So we stood up against that.
On the tactics that you've used and developed over the years, we will speak about it later. For now, I was curious. I read in the Volkskrant this weekend, the Dutch newspaper had an interview with you, that you were surprised by your own successes. Why were you surprised?
Well, the thing is, over the past 25 years, until we kind of stood up, all the other parties became like more quiet and quiet and quiet because they didn't see how they could actually find a recipe against the right-wing populists winning more and winning more and winning more. So we kind of, just developed strategies, and we couldn't know if we would have any success with it. But then it turned out that we did, yes.
But you've recently quit Operation Libero. Why?
Right. So after 6 years, and it was a lot of work to build up this movement, which is now present in all Switzerland and which had all these 7 wins against the right-wing populists, I thought it's now a good moment to pass it on to a next generation also of young people. And I am looking forward to tackle some new challenges, maybe also more of an international dimension in my work for defending liberal institutions.
This is the...
Oh boy, so now she wants to basically leave the tranquility of Switzerland and try to take her socialist, Marxist, leftist philosophies and, spread them globally and, take them out internationally into Europe, as she basically is saying, because of some of the wins that they've had. And the problem that happens, folks, is that all of these woke, social justice warriors, these leftists, these socialists, these Marxists, they virtue signal. And they don't realize it's all about, the feelings. Just like she said, we want to make it like an open society. I mean, how dare anybody think that somebody who committed a crime, if our country wants to deport them now back to the country of their origin, that's just inhumane. That's just absolutely terrible. And the influx of ideas that are coming from other nations, from other cultures, if they don't want to blend in, if they don't want to assimilate into the culture of the country that they're in, that's perfectly fine according to these leftists. Or they basically see they poo-poo that idea, or they shun that idea, or they don't even take a look at that idea. And they say, you know what, that's just being racist, that's just being bigoted. You're not accepting of their culture. So what happens is over time, the culture that was in the country is going to be destroyed by the people that are immigrating or migrating into that country and are bringing their values, their culture into that. And they're basically saying, we don't want to, assimilate. We want our culture to be transplanted into this country or into this region that we're in, because that's what we want to do. And in other words, we want to obliterate the present culture, the present identity, the present ethnicity of the country and the culture that's there and bring ours over. And that's not what should happen anywhere, any place. That's what happened, in the past when people and continents and countries, were conquered. Okay, that's not what we're doing right now in present day, in the present day of this planet. And so what these people don't realize is their short-sightedness is that just to feel good and to feel that they're, accomplishing something and that they're helping other people and they're being merciful and generous, they don't realize, that slowly. It's got to be, if you want to do something like this, you want to have migration, it should be done slowly, it should be controlled, not just out and out keep your doors open.
Positive answer, but I also read that you retired.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough fight to fight right-wing populists. It's, I think, yeah.
But if activists like you get worn out by the polarization, what does it tell you about present-day Europe?
No, I mean, it's more of a democratic culture that I see endangered. And, I mean, I saw also some boundaries, where I was surprised they would be crossed in Switzerland and in our political discussion. And, I don't know, we came up with these, we kind of countered the fight of the right-wing populists, which made them go, on the one hand, also more extreme. That's just one thing I see, and I think we have to reflect on. But on the other hand, there was no other way for us. We had to respond to these developments, and we wanted to, fight back the way the right-wing populists attacked our liberal institutions, because we found that's an achievement which is worth being defended, and so that's what we did.
These liberal institutions are for you very elemental in European identity. You'll elaborate further on that in your speech that we're awaiting, your keynote speech that you'll be giving. But first, I want to switch to Douglas Murray for a...
So she's going to switch over to Douglas Murray. That's going to be part 2. So look for that out there, okay? Look for the links and check out our video lists that are there. But bottom line is that here you saw a typical leftist, Marxist, socialist giving her philosophy, the way that she envisions the world to be, starting with her own country in Switzerland, to be no walls, no borders, completely globalist. And then once that's established within her country, and then her country is going to be, sort of, in my words, eventually, taken over, and the culture to be destroyed of what Swiss culture really is, because you're allowing other cultures from other countries to come in and not assimilate. They don't want to assimilate. They want to bring their culture and their identity, and they want to obliterate Swiss culture. They're just basically sticking their heads in their sand, heads in the sand, and not realizing what's happening. All they have to do is take a look at Europe. And that's exactly what Sophia was saying before, that this whole thing about is, what is Europe? You're not a European nation. You're not part of the EU. But what does it mean to you to be European? And she wants to bring these leftist, socialist, Marxist ideas of open borders, open policies, globalism, to not only Switzerland, but to everywhere else. Anyways, folks, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your host. My name is Dr. Nasir. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and check out our other videos here of the debate between Douglas Murray and Flavia Kleiner, all right? So I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.